Hello Orchid friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my video, my channel is all about orchids. From what orchids I have, how I grow them, my thoughts on certain orchid topics, to what orchids in my collection are blooming, etc. So if you want to follow along my orchid hobby adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on the notification. In today's video, we're going to look at my tetraspis C1 that bloom both in July and in August. So we're going to look at these July bloom and August bloom separately, and then I will show you the latest bud that's developing, that's not open yet, but that's something for us to look forward to. So here is the bloom in July. It was giving me 2 buds, but only 1 flower opened. The other bud just blasted, and it could be because I moved it around for taking some photos and some videos, and maybe the environment at the time, maybe the temperature or humidity wasn't optimal. So I had 1 bud blast in July, but this particular flower opened, which I was very happy about. It's very cute. It's got 3 reds and 2 whites, 2 white petals. And for those of you who are new to the orchid hobby, in case you stumbled upon this video randomly, this is an orchid species, and its name is tetraspis C1. And this one, the characteristics of this one is that it's a sequential bloomer, and every time the flower could look a little bit different depending on the environment, the temperature, or light. Nobody really knows what caused the random distribution exactly, but it's one of the traits I love dearly about this orchid. And here is a video clip that I took around sometime in July. I don't know if it's end of July, but you can see some of the leaves are droopy. That's because soon after I bought this orchid, I transferred it to semi-hydro, and along the process it lost a couple roots, so the leaves never really fully recover from the dehydration that it was going through, even though I could see that there are a couple new roots growing in the media. So this orchid, and the fact that this orchid is blooming and are continuously producing buds, I think this orchid is doing okay. Some of the orchid leaves don't really recover fully from the prior dehydration issues, so it's normal. Some orchid their leaves do turn yellow due to root rot, but for this one it didn't give me any yellow leaves, but the leaves just simply got dehydrated, and that's why you're seeing some of the wrinkles. And like I said earlier, this is the clip I took in July, so you could see that there was a bud blast, and in July this orchid gave me 1 flower, and I'm still pretty happy about it because tetraspis C1 is one of my favorite orchid species, and every time I see a flower, whether it's just 1 flower or 2 or 3 or 4, I think at most it was giving me 5 or 6 blooms at a time. And so after the July flower finished, this is the buds of the August flower. In the background, you can see that the July flower had already dried up, and on a different flower spike, it was growing these 2 buds. And in August, I think it's just because the temperature was hotter. So for some reason, the 2 buds that you are seeing here, they grew much faster than the one in July. I suspect that it's because of the temperature, but probably also because that recently we have a bit more rain, so the humidity in the air is slightly higher than what we had in July, so that may have some contributing factor to it. And the care that I provide for this orchid is I give it water every 7 to 10 days during summertime, and that really depends on what I see in the media. For example, if there is no more water in the reservoir and there is no moisture or condensation that I could detect, then I would also put it on my hand, or I just pick it up and see if there's any more moisture. And if there isn't, then that's when I would water. And every time I give it fertilizer, it's only about quarter strength, and I only give it fertilizer every other watering. So in summertime, this orchid can potentially receive I fertilize this orchid up to twice a month. And in winter time, because I only water it probably every 2 weeks, so this orchid in wintertime would likely only receive fertilizer once a month. In here, back to the blooms. This one, the August bloom, there are 2 August bloom, and the first bloom is almost red, or the petals have a little bit of white on the tips, but primarily the entire flower is red. And then the second flower, as you can see, there are some completely white sepal. And in fact, when it opened, it had 2 red and 3 whites. So again, this is the main characteristics of the tetraspis C1, right? The random flower and petal color combination, but then also its fuzzy lip and a mild fragrance. And this is a sequential bloomer, so that means that if the flower spikes are still green, you don't cut them. And that's why this orchid has quite a few flower spikes, and I use a wire to make sure that they're propped up, because otherwise they'll just be hanging, and I don't think that's a very orderly and visually pleasant. But overall, this is one of my favorite orchid. And in fact, when I was getting to know the orchid hobby, or as soon as I came across this orchid online, I told myself I really have to have it, because it's one of the most interesting orchid to me. Many of you have this orchid, I know, and if you don't, I highly suggest that you get an orchid and try it out and see if you like it yourself. So this is the red-white variety. I've seen the white and purple variety, and I've also seen the pure Albat form, so it's completely white. And also another type is, probably most people call it speciosa, so it's white background with red dot or red markings. And here we have another bud forming, but it's not open yet, so when it blooms, I will make sure I give you guys a video update about it. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!